Hello there, welcome to Rebel Base, IGN's weekly Star Wars show. So this week it was revealed who Andy Serkis is playing. So finally, I mean, we've heard his voice on the first teaser. That was confirmed that was him. But on StarWars.com, they revealed that he is playing Supreme Leader Snoke.
That's a name. I think it sounds like quite a cute name.
Does it?
Little Snoke.
Snoke.
For some reason, it made me think of the raccoon.
Yeah. But Cyril Sneer.
Did it make you think, why is that?
But Cyril Sneer is not a cute name.
No, I know,
He's not a cute person.
Is Cyril Sneer in Star Wars? I don't think he is. Should we
title it like that?
Facts?
Yeah. So we've heard his voice. We heard his voice in the trailer, and it doesn't sound like a cute voice. Doesn't sound like he's particularly nice in that.
No.
But then at the same time, Caesar had that very, very similar voice. I think it's a really similar voice to Caesar that he played in Planet of the Apes. So I think, you know, he was nice for a little bit, technically. So
well, it's not a very nice pose he's doing either. It's fair to say that the first image is quite a threatening one, even in the mocap suit. They're definitely playing up him being a villainous presence.
Yeah.
You know, the dark side and the light side is part of the dialogue in that first trailer, and even if there's a degree of ambiguity, I still think he's very much going to be a villainous character.
Yeah.
Like in the original Star Wars, and we spoke to Kieran Gillen about this when he came in and talked about Vader comic he's writing. It's about like, even though they are villains, trying to identify with a villain is obviously a great way to, you know, add a degree of sophistication to whatever you're making. And Caesar is, I think, more like classic kind of anti-hero. There's politics where ideology comes into play. It depends whose side of this you see it from. Of course, Whereas I think Star Wars, mainly you're ushered towards siding with like the good guys, because they're the good guys. Yeah. But like, I think he's going to be the big villain.
I think so as well, yeah.
So I don't think that's a very controversial thing to say.
Supreme Leader Snoke. Like, who would call yourself that unless you were really sort of evil, I think. Yeah.
You're a dick. Yeah. If you call yourself Supreme Leader, you're basically aligning yourself with Mussolini and Hitler and Stalin and Mao.
So he's going to be a mocap character. Yeah. So from looking at that, we were just talking about it now, and I think, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in his face. Not so much going on the rest of his body. So are we thinking that he's an alien? Like I thought, because of all the face stuff, maybe he's, you know, just a human but horrifically scarred because of it. But you don't think that's the case?
I don't know. It's not that I don't think that's the case. I think it's a very valid theory.
Thank you.
Definitely, it could be. But also, like, it could just be an alien. I guess, like, they're really just focusing on the face because they know, you know, they can translate all of those all the performance into the CG character. And it's weird because, obviously, because of where the prequels were, they've really traded on building up to episode 7, really saying, oh, practical effects. I'm going to be shooting in real world locations and there's going to be animatronics and people are loving that. But it's not to say there's not going to be loads of special effects in Star Wars. Definitely, it's kind of like in Mad Max. Mad Max at the moment has been celebrated for using practical effects, but I think it's got like 2,000 visual effects in the movie. Right, okay. But it's how they're used. Definitely, in conjunction with practical effects. So he's going to be a CG character. And I think that shows that it's mainly going to be the head. And you were saying, because the fewer dots on the body means that it might be just general movement that's being conveyed. You know, I guess so. He might be a big dinosaur. I
mean, from where he is, he looks like he's sort of sitting on a throne. So which has led me to believe that maybe he's the sort of black figure in the background of teaser 2, where you can see, just in the background of all those stormtroopers, you can just see someone either standing and looking pretty menacing or sitting on a giant throne. Like maybe he is. I don't know.
Well, it kind of Supreme Leader I don't know, it kind of marries with the First Order.
Yeah, definitely. I think.
Like the terminology that's being kind of tapped into there, you know, it's, you know, the Empire in the same way, but it's kind of fascistic language. First Order, Supreme Leader. So I think that kind of tallies if he's like the big bad, he's kind of the new Emperor. But is that a bit like for like, maybe? I know we haven't seen his final treatment, but there's kind of one guy behind it all. But I suppose that's maybe just what you want from your big villain.
I think so, yeah. And I think, you know, the way that he says it in the first season, so there's been an awakening, have you felt it? The dark side and the light, which would suggest that, you know, he is force sensitive, and that's who is in charge, is a guy who is, you know, properly on the dark side and really, really in touch with the Force, which is exactly what I want.
Yeah, well, so I wonder where he's come from then. Like whether he's just existed in the shadows for ages and ages. You know, we could even get, like, it's not beyond the realm of possibility to have certain flashback sequences where he's tied into events previously.
That'd be really cool.
You know, like kind of Yoda went off and lived in the kind of wilderness in those years. is he kind of almost an equivalent of that? Living in the wilderness, kind of on his own planet, and now when his students have kind of been cast aside and the tide has turned in favour of the rebels, it's now, you know, on him to become a more kind of player.
So we've talked about in the past about Thrawn and like Big Blue Guy. He was off in the other parts of the galaxy and it's part of the extended universe, so technically not canon anymore. So he was off building another sort of empire in the Outer Realms. He could have been doing a similar thing as well, and now that, you know, everything has fallen, he's come back to take his sort of rightful place. So even though, you know, it's not canon anymore, they could still be drawing on some parts of that, which is why I think, you know, it's a really good thing that stuff isn't canon, because they can sort of cherry pick the coolest bits of it. So maybe, like, you know, they're doing a similar thing with him.
Yeah, I think it's kind of that, the politics of it are going to be interesting, because you think about it, at the end of Jedi, they destroy the second Death Star, and, you know, the Emperor and Vader. There's a huge power vacuum there. And it's, you know, anytime there's any power vacuum, the onus is on the people who can seize that power most quickly and effectively, and unite disparate factions that are warring against each other. Supreme Leader, you know, it sounds, you know, it's North Korean terminology. There's a degree of affection there. Is there a personality cult at work here? And who is this guy that can maybe be that person?
Exactly, so who do we think he's talking to in the trailer then? So I've got a little theory. Are you ready for me to
blow my mind?
Hit you up with it, okay? So I've said from the beginning that I think Domhnall Gleeson is maybe Luke Skywalker's estranged son. So I generally think that he's turned a little bit bad. Like maybe he's got a little bit more of the dark side in than Luke did. And he's alongside Snoke maybe. Because I think some of the rumors around were saying that these two are going to be spending quite a lot of time together. So I think maybe that Domhnall Gleeson has turned towards the dark side. And these are sort of, you know, with Adam Driver, they're sort of working together for him. I really like that.
That's good speculation. Is that based on anything, or is it just good spec?
Just good spec.
Because we've heard them two maybe will have scenes together.
Yeah.
I like, obviously, just kind of, you know, appearance.
Yeah.
You know, he does seem like he might be related to Luke.
I think so, yeah.
And it would be interesting, because we've heard other rumours about kind of Sith artifacts, and in a time where Jedis don't exist. The idea treating Jedis less scientifically, like in the prequels, but more kind of spiritual, like a religion. This idea of prophecy and like second comings and like the kind of anointed one. If there's someone that's connected to Vader, and Vader is revered as this kind of figure for the Empire of the First Order, what greater way to kind of fulfill a prophecy than get someone that's related to him. Almost, you know, and we've talked about Kylo Ren. Maybe Kylo Ren wants to be that person, but you know what? He hasn't got a drop of Skywalker blood in him. And, you know, maybe that's where Gleeson comes in. Again, wild speculation. But,
wild speculation, but I think it's all true. I think everything we've ever said on this show at some point is going to come true.
Well, when the film comes out later this year, we can reveal that we actually wrote The Force Awakens.
So anyway, that's what we know about Supreme Leader Snoke so far. But what do you think? Have you got any theories about who he might be? Let us know, rebelbase@ign.com.
Okay, it's that time of the show where we do force feedback. I'm doing this, so I have to say force feedback now.
If you said it, that means that's what it's called.
It's now a real thing, okay. First one is from Tim G. Hey Tim. Hey Rebel Base. Here's a link to the Force Awakens trailer me and my friends made while in our media course. The task was to make a trailer of our liking from memory and to edit and shoot it in 4 hours, so we decided to do the Force Awakens since we have watched it like a billion times. I hope you like it.
It's really funny. Like, it's really lo-fi, it's really stupid. They obviously don't have any sort of budget or anything like that.
You can tell they watch our stuff.
Yeah, they did it in 4 hours. The Chewie bit is the best bit, and we'll play that for you right now.
Chewie, we're home.
He also says, love you, Gav and Dan. We love you too, Tim.
That's nice. Well, I've got one from Jonathan Ivans, who says, the new Star Wars canon mentions the up-and-coming story Aftermath, with a much-loved Star Wars character making an appearance. It's actually been confirmed that it's a trilogy now as well. I think it would be awesome if Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc from digesting it. Imagine a new series of Boba Fett using all his survival skills his father taught him in not order to only escape the Sarlacc, but survive the desert planet and the Hutt, which is something that we've said on the show before. Definitely.
That does sound a bit Bear Grylls, though. Like, he's just surviving, he's like drinking a Sarlacc's piss sack.
Well, I kind of, like, even I put this in here because we have sort of talked about it before, but I really hope that Aftermath is not about Boba Fett, because I want one of the films to tackle the Sarlacc. I want to know, I want him.
What happened?
Yeah,
well,
exactly,
we said this, it's like an hour and a half, like Samuel Beckett piece, where he's just down there, just chatting.
I think that'd be really good.
Existential drama.
Yeah.
Shaheen's written in, hey Shaheen, hey guys, check out this dude. He'd be a great young Han Solo. This is an impressionist called Anthony Ingruber.
Yeah.
I've seen this guy years and years ago. When
Yeah,
I was at
it's an old
university.
video, yeah.
He's very good at doing an impression, but it also manipulates his face in a way that is spitting image, really.
I don't think he sounds that much like Han Solo, but he does look like him, so let's have a look.
A fast ship? You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon? It's the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
And if you'd like to send anything to Force Feedback, the address is rebelbase@ign.com. So last week we had Peter Serafinowicz in to do a bit of the podcast. Now we played some of the interview last week, but we also played a little game with him called Dark Side or Disease. Here's how we did.
It's time to play another round of Dark Side or Disease. On this week's show, Mr. Peter Serafinowicz. You might recognise Peter from Star Wars The Phantom Menace, where he voiced famous Sith Lord Darth Maul.
Question 1.
Question
Darth
1.
Cancer.
The first one, Darth Plagueis.
Darth Plagueis. I reckon that's one that is a Star Wars one. I'm saying Dark Side.
Correct.
Wow.
Darth Plagueis was a dark lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midichlorians to create life.
Darth Stendhal.
I think it's an IKEA side table. I would say disease. Stendhal.
Correct. It's a disorder which causes rapid heartbeat, dizziness, and fainting when a person is exposed to art they think is beautiful.
What a lovely disease.
Oh, right, okay.
General Impetigo. What are you saying? Dark Side or disease?
Disease.
Disease.
Of course.
Correct.
Yeah.
Impetigo is a common and highly contagious skin infection that causes sores and blisters.
Asajj Ventress.
That's Dark Side.
So yes, an evil assassin trained in the ways of the dark side by Count Dooku.
Count Dooku, which is that is a disease.
Number 5 then, EVA4D.
I would say that's a disease. Is it?
It's a modified EV series supervisor droid who served the cyborg General Grievous.
Right. However, General Grievous has got like a cough, hasn't he?
Darth Beetlemania.
Darth Beetlemania. I think there's a sample of it in a laboratory somewhere in Russia.
Yeah. Well, that was good. That was 5 out of 6 in our quiz, Dark Side or Disease.
Excellent.
Well done, Peter.
You
Thanks,
are
man.
worthy of a
Man.
Sith Lord.
Great, thanks.
Join us next week for another edition of Dark Side or Disease.
So unsurprisingly, Darth Maul really knows his dark side or his diseases, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah.
For anything on Star Wars, you can contact us at any time, rebelbase@ign.com.
And for everything else, keep it right here on IGN.